The Lewis family would sell for $5 billion. Another victim falls into the Djed Spence penitentiary. And a couple of dilemmas for Thomas Frank. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And if you do have a spare moment, please do vote for us at the Football Content Awards 2025. It would mean such a lot to us. All of the links are below. Okay, let's get into it. Adam Williams, head of football finance and governance content for GVR Media, has now told TBR Football what his instinct is amid these boardroom developments at Spurs. He said there's no doubt the Lewis family would sell Tottenham if $5 billion was offered, Williams said. Ultimately, only the Lewis family and their financial advisors know for sure whether they are interested in selling Spurs. However, the mood music is that they are still very much open to investment, if not a full sale. They have parted company with Rothschild and Co, who have helped them look over investors for the last 2 years. They say it is proof that they aren't for sale, but it could equally also be a tactic to help drive up the price. Also, there are some suggestions that if an investment does come in, it could be at ENIC level rather than Tottenham in themselves. Because ENIC are registered in the Bahamas where financial reporting requirements are virtually non-existent, we don't know if ENIC themselves could have retained Rothschild. We basically don't know anything about the company and they are not subject to the UK takeover code, so the Lewis family aren't required to document any bids for equity at that level. My instinct is that Spurs are still for sale, but the Lewis family have extended their timeline ahead of an eventual exit. Whatever Levy was doing to drum up interest in an investment wasn't working, so they're reorganising the club and going for something different. They've always been for sale at the right price. It's a matter of how you get that price. If someone came in and offered them $5 billion tomorrow, I've no doubt they would take it. Tottenham are a highly attractive asset. It remains to be seen if anybody offers $5 billion for Spurs, but if they did, you can see why. Tottenham are the home of American football in Europe, with the NFL partnership bringing in £10 million annually. Not only that, but they are also based in the heart of London and have several exciting talents who could become multi-million pound superstars such as Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray. While $5 billion is no small fee, to say the very least, there are enough exciting developments at Spurs right now to justify that figure. Football.London report that Tottenham Hotspur defender Djed Spence has taken a brutal dig at club teammate Brennan after England secured a comfortable 3-0 victory over Wales in a friendly at Wembley Stadium. The Three Lions ended the match as a contest inside 20 minutes after a blistering display from Thomas Tuchel's men. For Spence, it was a night to remember as he made his first appearance for England, first team at Wembley Stadium. As for Johnson, it was one he would likely forget in a hurry. Sadly for the winger, Spence was not letting him off that easily. Post-match, the defender sent a brutal message to his club teammates celebrating the result. Very happy to get my first England start with a great win, he wrote on Instagram. But forget about all that emotional stuff for a second. You cannot escape the inevitable. Let's walk to the penitentiary, brother. The post was accompanied by a compilation of images showing Spence in action alongside and including one of him with Johnson during the game. He also included a superimposed picture of himself walking Johnson on a leash that was used in Grand Theft Auto video game franchise. And the Mirror report that Thomas Frank has to get Xavi Simons firing. The report states that it felt like something was of a coup when Tottenham pinched Xavi Simons from under Chelsea's noses in the summer. But while the Dutchman's arrival generated huge excitement, his start in North London has been more steady than spectacular. He hasn't been poor by any means, but nor has he yet justified his £52 million price tag. Part of the issue is that Frank still hasn't figured out where Simons best fits. The 22-year-old, who's just notched one goal contribution against West Ham in 7 games so far, has been used in multiple roles as a number 10 left winger, and he's struggled to find rhythm or consistency to any of them. Simons is not like a like-for-like replacement for Maddison. The creative heartbeat he has effectively filled for following the Englishman's ACL injury. Where Maddison thrives on intention and flair, Simons is more of a passing midfielder who keeps play moving and knits attacks together rather than producing moments of his magic on his own. That's not a flaw, but it does mean he needs the right system and the supporting cast to shine. For Frank, the dilemma is clear. Identify Simons' best position and build the structure around him to unlock his potential. Once he settles into a defined role and gains confidence and rhythm, Tottenham could finally begin to see the player who not only dazzled in the academies of Barcelona and PSG, but also lit up the Bundesliga with RB Leipzig last season. The report also states that Frank needs to find a reliable number 9. If Tottenham are to take the next steps under Frank, they need a dependable, ruthless presence at centre forward, capable of turning half chances into goals. At the moment, that player simply doesn't exist in the squad. Dominic Solanke has shown flashes of quality, but injuries have disrupted his rhythm and consistency. Richarlison continues to work hard, but remains an enigma in front of goal, while Matisse Tell, though promising, is still more of a long-term prospect than a reliable week-to-week scorer. Meanwhile, Randall Kolo Muani, on loan from PSG, remains something of an unknown quantity. Once tipped as the next big thing after his breakout at Eintracht Frankfurt, his spell at PSG fell flat following his £64 million move to Ligue 1. And while his loan at Juventus last season was an improvement, it was hardly spectacular. He's currently sidelined with an injury which hasn't helped him or Spurs. Between the quartet, there's talent, energy and potential, but not the kind of relentless finishing that defines top 4 teams. For Spurs to genuinely compete at the sharp end of the table, they need a striker who can deliver 20 or more goals a season, someone who can turn tight games into wins and lift the team when the performances dip. Okay, well, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, would ENIC sell for $5 billion? I'm sure they would, actually. I'm sure they would. That report was quite interesting, actually. It opened my eyes. I don't know how a lot of these things work. Obviously, ENIC registered in the Bahamas or part of them or something. I don't know. I don't know how it all works, to be brutally honest with you. But if that is the case and everything is not visible to the general public or anybody that looks into these things, are ENIC trying to drive the price up? I still think in the back of my mind that ENIC would sell at the right price. I totally agree with this report. £5 billion, that's a huge sum of money and a massive, massive return on their investment. They say they are here for the long term and want to invest, and that's great. And to be honest, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. You know, if ENIC want to stay and they're putting their money where their mouth is, obviously we know that they've just pumped in this £100 million, and it's not just future TV revenue. This is £100 million they've pumped into the club. If they keep doing that on a regular basis and giving Thomas Frank and Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Langer the funds to be able to do what they need to do, then I haven't got a problem with ENIC staying in charge of Tottenham. I know a lot of people want ENIC gone. There's part of me that would say to that, careful what you wish for. ENIC have kept us on a decent financial footing with FFP and PSR and everything else that goes along with it. We've seen clubs, people buy clubs like the Glazers at Old Trafford, obviously, and I can't remember the Liverpool JJ Henry. Liverpool not so much, but certainly Manchester United took so much money out of the club when that club was just rolling in money, and now they aren't in the best financial situation. The stadium is in need of desperate repair. The training ground is old and tired. A lot of money needs to be spent at Manchester United. Now that money will keep coming in because they're Manchester United. But Tottenham, obviously, we've built up from the foundation when Levy took over, turned us into a multi-billion pound business as such. And I know people don't like to hear that, but we are. Coming back round, if ENIC continue to pump money into Spurs and they keep us on a decent financial footing, I haven't got a problem with them staying. If they're not going to do that and they're going to sell, fine. Personally, I'm not for just whoever takes over. I'd want a certain type of buyer. I was never convinced by that Eric bloke. All seemed a bit slapdash to me. wouldn't have been completely for that. But if money is coming into the club and it's being run well, and we're in no danger of going under, for want of a better word. You know, we've been there before. Those people of a certain age will remember how close Spurs were to going under before Alan Sugar actually rescued us years and years ago. So you don't want that, but hopefully whoever owns us will take us in the right direction. If that's ENIC, as I say, put your money where your mouth is. New inmate at the Djed Spence Penitentiary. Yeah, Brennan Johnson had a pretty rough time against Djed Spence against for England, for Wales, sorry, against England on Thursday evening. Didn't really get a kick. Johnson. England were really good. I think Wales were really poor as well, but England were really good. Djed Spence played very well. And I do like this with Djed Spence, obviously just winding up his teammates. He's done it on several occasions now and just shows he's part of that squad. I love a bit of the banter within the squad. I think that can only be a good thing. But yeah, it wasn't a particularly good night for Brendan Johnson or Ben Davies for that matter. England ran out very, very comfortable winners in the end. And of course, without Harry Kane on the pitch. So that was a good win. Obviously, it's just a friendly. But yeah, England could qualify for the World Cup if results go their way and they win next week. So that would be good. And Frank's dilemmas about Xavi Simons. Yeah, I've spoke about this before. Xavi Simons, for me, has to play in that number 10 role, 100%. He's still learning the English game. He has had moments of magic, but he hasn't quite hit the heights that we all want him to. But game by game, I think he's growing into that role. I really do. And I think he's going to be a big player for Spurs this season. Obviously, with Kulusevski hopefully coming back soon, he's going to be challenging, you'd think, for that number 10 role. Maddison, obviously, a good few months away yet. But Xavi Simons could make that role his own. He really could. I think he's much more effective in a 10 than out wide. But get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think Xavi Simons is best on the left or in the 10? And as that report went on to say from the Mirror there, I totally agree with that as well. We haven't really got a settled number 9 at the moment, obviously with Solanke still out, injured, and we haven't seen Randall Colomani. I don't think we can even comment on this for another 2 or 3 weeks until they're actually back playing on the pitch. Could be completely different if we get Randall Colomani firing or seeing Solanke in this Thomas Frank system. It's going to be very interesting. I still maintain we do need another number 9 at the club. But get down in the comments, let me know what you think about that. Do we need another number 9? And comment about any other stories today. And get down in the comments, let me know about those. Have a good weekend and come on, you Spurs.